Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. Thank you so much for your support. It's Thursday, June the 26th, 8:09 p.m. Thank you to everybody that waited for us to be live. We appreciate you. Make sure that if you are on X, retweet the video. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you leave your comments. We are coming live. Orlando City secured a 4-2 victory over St. Louis City SC at City Park Stadium. Energizer Park, sorry, not City Park. Energizer Park Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. In a high scoring MLS match, the Lions dominated early. They got two goals in 2 minutes. They built a 3-0 lead within the first 25 minutes of the game. St. Louis fought back, and then the game was 3-2. Everybody got a little hair rising up in their arm, and everybody was kind of freaking out. But Orlando was able to seal the win with a golazo and maintain their undefeated record against St. Louis. 2 wins, 0 defeats in head-to-head matchups. My name is Luis Carlos Pineda. I'm your host today. I'm here with John. John, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
I'm good, man. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Just checking in.
Can you hear me good?
Yes.
Cool,
Welcome.
cool.
Thank you, everybody's here for a bonus Thursday pod. An away game, away Wednesday game, another one, an away game. We get the win. I predicted what, 3-0? What did you predict, Luis? I think it was 2-0, right?
Yeah, I think I predicted 2-0 and you predicted 3-0. There were 5 goals, so
We thought the goals were going to come. Like, I knew St. Louis had holes in the defense, so I thought that was going to happen, but I did not expect it within the first 30 minutes for us to be up 3-0. I don't think anybody expected that. I think the St. Louis fans were kind of left stunned. What a start to the game. And then, yes, we definitely should have seen it out from that point. But we did, in the end, get the points. And 4-2, 1-0, 4-2, it doesn't matter. These away results, getting 3 points in the road, it's vital, and it's exactly what we need right now in the East. So, job done, and then let's go again against Cincy.
correct. We're gonna be today we're gonna be reviewing the game against St. Louis. We're also gonna be talking about the OCB loss to Toronto. Alex Freeman, hey, now you're an all-star, to quote Smash Mouth. There you go. And we're also gonna be previewing Cincinnati. We have a guest coming up in 30 minutes. He should be joining, and we're gonna be discussing, to me, a turning point game for the Lions, in my opinion. So let's start with St. Louis, John. For starters, I felt that Orlando City won. They had an early dominance, clinical finishing. I think you called it in the last pod previewing the game against St. Louis when you said, I really want to see Ramiro taking more like a leadership role right in attack. And I think he had a phenomenal game. He could have had a hat trick if it was for Angulo, but we'll discuss that later. But Orlando fast start overwhelmed St. Louis. St. Louis looked like they were an away team, and Orlando looked like the home team. 3 goals in 22 minutes. Enrique and Pasalic literally came back. And I think this team, well rested, it showed a lot of midfield control, especially with Atuesta and Araujo, and then obviously tying up with Angulo on the flank and Pasalic, and then obviously ended up with Ramiro. What are your thoughts for starters about this game, John?
I think that first 30 minutes was like a masterclass. I think we looked like incredible. That the passing movement for the first goal for Enrique was like chef's kiss, beautiful, like prime Orlando City sex ball. I'm talking about? Like that was gorgeous. So the fact that we're playing this passing game where they can read each other's, play so well, and Enrique playing that poacher role like we talked about, that hoping that he would get off the mark, and he did. That was a big bonus. And then you've got Pasalic coming in doing his thing with his left foot's his weapon, where he's just scoring near post bangers, and that'll happen within the first 10 minutes. So it really was 10 minutes in, and I'm like, okay, we're 2-0 up. Knowing our defensive record on the road, you're kind of thinking at this point, like, all right, well, you know, this is now our game to lose for real. Like it was that early in the game where I thought this is 100% in our hands to go 2-0 up at Cincy, a place. I'm sorry, St. Louis, a place where they have not scored many goals this year. They are, defensively weak. It just really said to me, okay, like this team, when everything is going right and they're playing so well, can just kill a team in that short amount of time. Like it was literally 10 minutes into the game, and really St. Louis's heads are already spun, and they're like, "What the hell is going on? We're losing this game 2-0, 10 minutes in."
For sure. Look, aside of the great performance by Ramiro Enrique, I will say that Marco Pasalic was as good as Ramiro in this game. I think with a brace also. Two really impressive goals. They're kind of like the Pasalic type goals, like you mentioned, outside the box, moving right to left and using his left foot, right? Berkey also had a phenomenal game. I do want to say he had some massive saves. No wonder he was considered to be one of the best in the MLS. I mean, the game in the second half eventually was just controlled by Orlando, but Berkey had like really two or three good saves. Um, now, I do want to ask you, and I feel like Orlando has some sloppy moments, and I guess, if St. Louis fans are listening, I know we had a guest last time.
Poor Mo. Yeah.
You do want to say, I do want to say that this is a team that offensively can deliver. You just gotta get the right defensive pieces. If St. Louis gets hones down next season a better defense, they're gonna be a top contender in the West. Because what an edge that Klaus and Becker.
Pompeo was killing
Yeah,
them.
they had a masterful game. Orlando City gave up two goals to sloppiness essentially. Um, Definitely, Becker did great. Totland as well. After Pascal Smith, and I think Jansen was not his best game in my opinion, and especially in those two goals. And
Yeah.
maybe even Galese could have done a little bit more in one of the goals as well. And then the second one was just a joke. I mean, Atuesta. I mean, again, he's the assist master, and it kind of shuts you up like that. But then you can clear the ball so sloppy,
Well,
until
yeah.
I don't know what you feel about that.
Well, I think it's just a case of, well, firstly, the first goal, like we lost the ball up the field when we shouldn't have, and then they counterattacked so quickly that it just really wasn't a very well structured defense at that point. But I kind of blame Pedro for being off his line on that one. I just think he didn't need to come out
Right.
because he thought like, oh, I got
Yeah.
to go get the ball, because he didn't think that like Brecalo and everyone else could get back in time. And then they do get back in time, so you get caught in that no man's land and that confusion between him. So I kind of blame Pedro on that one quite a bit. And then the second goal, I think Atuesta is like, he does everything really well when he has the ball at his feet, but his off the ball and his positioning and his defending, it lacks. And this was an example of him trying to like, oh, I got to get back and win the ball, but he's trying to win a ball like backwards with his leg in the air, basically trying to catch it on a volley. Like, when there's three guys back there that like are ready, you've got Brecalo and you've got Jansen ready just to head it away or to clear it away, and that's their job, right? So it's that kind of awareness. Like you didn't need to try and win that ball, and then he does, and it just drops, and Klaus puts it in. He's a good finisher. Klaus was always going to be a threat this game. We talked about that, and I feel like he had those moments where he's just like he's that guy where everything pivots around him. You know, he gets on the feet on the ball. He only needs a second, and he can put a goal in, and that's what we saw. I also think that their press at times like kind of caused us some trouble. We pressed them like as Oscar was talking about, but they did also press us. Like they want to be an attacking team. They just defensively, especially in the midfield too. Like they did not have really any defensive midfielders like that were effective at stopping us going through the middle. Both of Pasilic's goals, a better team is not going to let him get on his left foot in the middle of the park like that, and they just kind of allowed us to do that. Other teams won't do it, but we took advantage of those moments and we scored those goals. But yeah, defensively, those were some two sloppy goals that we shouldn't have really given up.
Yeah, Eduardo Tuesta bagged a hat trick of assists in the match, adding his
Yeah.
fourth,
I mean, it's
fifth.
like MLS assist, so let's not forget that, you know.
Yeah, so as you see here on the screen now, what John put on FOTMob right here, 9.5 stars, and the reason why is despite the sometimes I don't know, it seems like he just lays back a little bit when it comes to defending, or like he just doesn't want to get hit too much because he just came back from injury. I don't know. It seems like he's kind of being a little bit reserved, going for the tackle a little bit. He bagged a hat trick of assists in the match, fourth, fifth, and sixth helpers of the campaign so far for the Lions. So
I
right now,
mean,
with this win, Orlando, it's 4-0 this year against Western Coast teams. Go ahead, John.
like that's Weston. Like I don't want to completely bag on his
Yeah.
defensive. Like he does do something, but I think at times everyone thinks he's going to be like Cesar. He's just not that kind of
No, he's not
midfielder.
Cesar for sure.
So like what he's giving you on the attacking side, where he's connecting play, getting all these assists, I think you kind of have to, it's what's the word, like it's a toss up, right? You can take that, and because of that he's not going to always be in the right position to make the tackle and chasing guys down and being that kind of defensive mid that we're used to for Orlando City. And but he does do some defensive things. Like look, he's got 5 defensive actions. He won a tackle. Like he's got some recoveries. He hasn't got any interceptions, but he is making clearances and tackles. So I think that the toss up of what you get from his attacking abilities is worth having out there. A guy that might not always be, the first to tackle an attacking midfielder.
Now let's read some comments here. F says, "What's up, fam? What's up, my friend?" David Albury says, "How we doing tonight, guys? What a crazy match. Glad for the win. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I kind of miss Schlegel in defense." I agree with you, my friend. Now I do want to say though, and I don't know if John agrees. My hats off for Brecalo for playing a different side
Yeah.
and doing really well.
I just think the Jansen Brecalo partnership is not as good as the Jansen Schlegel partnership.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be if over time, like if they were to play all the time. I think it would be really good. I think Jansen, like you said, had a poor game. Kyle Smith did fine, but he's
I
just
mean,
there to really
what more
play
can he
the
do?
he's playing the defensive left back because Dagger was doing the attacking right wing role more. He was getting up involved in the play, like Freeman does. So there's perfectly fine to have Smith do the Brecalo role in this scenario. I think it was good. I don't think it was. I don't think this back line is our best. I still think it's better with Schlegel and Brecalo at left back for sure. And I'm sure they'll go back to that against Cincy. But I think Brecalo it did well to adapt, and you got to remember, like he's playing left back and then right side of the center back, and it's not always easy to be changing around positions all the time, especially in
Yeah,
the
I
back four,
just
because so much of it is about like positioning and timing and communication.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you have to take it with a grain of salt. In my opinion, the 6.6, 6.5, and 6.4 that Fatma put on our back line, except Thor Halson, which had a great game, by the way. Um, I feel like out of those three that are in red, Brecalo did probably the best. And he was not used to that position. And I praise him for that because, just to have a player to think on the wing and be very tactical. I think Oscar values those type of players tremendously, and their willingness for him to, okay, I'm a starter and I'm gonna do whatever it takes to remain a starter, no matter where he places me in the starting 11. And I like that. And I think today, if yes, I agree with David. If Schlegel would have been there, I think we would have seen Brecalo and a fiery Dagger Den coming off the bench, which I think he would have also had a magnificent game. So let's read some more comments here. Edward says averaging one random terrible challenge slash clear per game. There you go. You're right. The first pass to Pasalic was in the backfield. LOL. There you go, F. Thank you so much. You know, um, yes. Look, it was a great game for the Lions. But we already talked about the defense and the lapses in defensive focus. Now I don't know if I sound too preachy, but I really like the attitude that Klaus and Becker showed, and I mean he looked so frustrated, especially on that Atuesta challenge. He just looked so frustrated of not scoring, and he made me feel and said, "You imagine if we would have gotten a 9 like Klaus, with that edge with Ramiro on a high, and maybe Duncan as well. That's the type of signings we need in Orlando City. I do want to say that I think Orlando City is that team that a player like Klaus would fit perfectly, because he's also, fighting for every ball, gritty. He wants to win, and I love that. I was very impressed. I don't know, if you were impressed with some of the St. Louis players.
I think I think a few things about St. Louis. Like one, I think they were stupid to get rid of Bradley Carnell. I
Yeah.
think that they didn't give him enough time. Like they had a great year, then he did a bad year, and their squad really wasn't that good, and they didn't improve the squad. They just kind of made some changes and also got rid of him. Brought in Olaf Melberg, who was not the right fit at all for their philosophy and the way they play and the players they have, and then they figured that out about 6 months in, then got rid of him, and now they're playing the way that they want to play, but they don't know how to really to defend they don't know how to press as a unit correctly like they used to and be that kind of high energy soccer that Bradley Carnell did. But they can learn that again, and they got a lot of the pieces. And yeah, I think João Klaus is I mean, he's only 28 years old. He is Brazilian. He is the kind of guy that we go in for. I think it's the height that's nice and the fact that he's a big centerpiece, but also can play. We don't really have that. We've never really had guys like that. We've had guys that are, fast and can, move the ball. And we've had other guys that are a bit, bigger and more like, play the ball to me and I'll put it in kind of guys. But João Klaus is more of a complete forward. Like he can kind of do a bit of everything. And yeah, he scored a hat trick in the game before this. He had some good looks. He got that one goal. He could have got more goals. He's just a very dangerous player up front. But I think at times like Muriel can be just as dangerous. I think we have other guys in our team. Like I
I
think
mean,
everybody. I think right now everybody's looking at Paslic and Ojeda and being like, I wish I had
yeah,
these guys in my team. So
yeah, but I
I'm
feel
not
like
jealous of anybody. I'm appreciative of the guys we have right now.
yeah, but I feel like, for example, when touching about the Muriel thing, Muriel will try to look for a freaking nutmeg on a 1v1. Klaus will try to push her defender off. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
talk
I
about.
think
You know what I
that's true.
mean?
Yeah, the
Like,
physicality. He's not
like,
afraid to hustle.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
like Muriel will try
yeah,
to pass it back.
yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
see, I'd rather have Benteke if I'm going for that kind of dude. I'd rather have Benteke,
Yeah.
But João
So
Klaus could run a bit more. But I see what you're saying. Like
yeah.
he wants
So
to get in the mix. I appreciate that.
now
He's
I
willing to
do.
back into a center back.
Before we go into the comments and continue with the analysis for St. Louis, I do want to give a little bit of a situation that's happening with Muriel. There's gonna be some rumors coming
I
from
saw this.
from Colombia that Muriel is gonna sign with Junior de Barranquilla from my understanding, is those are false. Like, guys, the only way Muriel can leave is if they really offer a really good salary to Muriel, and not only that, but force Muriel to leave the United States to go back into his country. So it has to be comparable to what he's getting paid now. And number two, they got to pay a fee because he's under contract with the Lions. Now, the Lions will always do what's best for the Lions. So if Muriel says, "Hey, I want to go. I don't want to be part of this team. Can we do something so I can go away?" Why will he do that in the middle of the season? Why will he do that when he's he pretty much is living life. His kids are in summer camp and all of that here in Orlando. I just feel like sometimes, just like what happened with a Peruvian player, they're trapped because they know that the MLS is in this little bit of a break. A lot of pundits just try to use the league to, you know, pinpoint their opinions or their rumors. It's not real right now. I mean, I don't think Muriel is under this mindset. Maybe at the end of the season, or maybe after before Leagues Cup. I don't know. When the window opens, maybe. But at the moment, there's nothing about that. So I did wanted to touch that real quick. Let's read some comments. I have David Albury says, but the Sclaus have Muriel's humor. Yeah. So what do you think about Muriel and that play when they ripped his shorts? That was awesome.
He's like called Pantala. Like the guy was literally like as he was trying to run away, he was like holding onto his shorts. I feel like Muriel though like kind of pulled them off completely to be like, look,
Yeah.
right, they came off. Like it was weird.
You
Yeah,
imagine you imagine you would have seen a tidy whities.
I was like, well,
That would be
there's
hilarious.
undershorts. They're tight. They're not coming down. I think he was, the casualness was like there was no chance of us accidentally seeing anything. Thankfully.
Now, to keep analyzing this game, let's talk about Ivan Angulo. Ivan Angulo, you know, hasn't scored a goal this season. He really wanted to score a goal in this match, um, to the point that, I mean, how do I explain this? I understand why he did it, but it is selfish, man. Whether you want to see it in any type of way. I actually was thinking about this, trying to humanize the guy and trying to think, hey, cut him some slack. But every time I rewatch the play, I just cannot believe it. If I would have been Oscar, I would have cussed him out, because you're talking about that fourth goal that Orlando scored cost them a hell of a time, to get to that 4-2. It was 3-2 for a while, and this was a perfect opportunity to truly seal the deal, and maybe put Justin Ellis instead of Muriel at the end. But I don't know. I felt it was just a very selfish play, and the face of Ramiro was just like, like, what the hell, man? This play against Cincinnati, it will be it will cost us the game. This is you know I don't know if he thought, hey, it's 3-1, we can maybe win 6-1. I don't know, but terrible judging decision by Angulo. I try to rewatch the thing 3-4 times, humanize the guy, trying to think, hey, maybe he just really wanted to score. But I just, every time I replay that, I just think he was completely, this was uncalled for. I don't know. Thoughts, John?
Um, I think you said it all, but I'm also just gonna let the people say the rest. I posted this earlier. This, if you're listening now, there is a picture up of the exact moment I paused it, where Agulo didn't pass, and I'm with you, Luis. I been racking my head on this one. I feel like everybody's been racking their head on
Yeah,
this one.
it's ridiculous.
And I got some great comments in. Like Mo said, "Don't remind me." Landon said, "Get him off the team now. Been awful all season." Derek says, "Definitely stole this for a meme post." Adster said, "Enrique on the left, Miro up top would be so much better." Bryce Grimm said, "Great. Now I'm screaming at my phone just like I screamed at my TV last night." Matt Scarano says, "Unreal, but also not at the same time." We've got "so fast and so bad at finishing" from Jimmy Whispers. "Enough is enough" from Banjo. I think it just shows. Chase Dunlap here is a great one. Said, "I can only think about this post when it happened. Literally, I was like, I would love to see John's face right now." My face was, yeah, like the emoji I have here, just really cheesed off, Louise, really pissed off at this situation. Um, yeah, I mean, people have had enough. I feel like this was the cherry on the cake with Angulo. This whole season has been like, if you're not going to be able to put the ball in the back of your net yourself, which he's proven like every game this year he can't do. Like it's almost painful at times watching him not be able to put the ball in the net. At this moment, he has to pass to Enrique. There's no. I know that he wants a goal. I know he wants to like try
Berkey was
and
beat.
improve and all this stuff, but you have to pass this. You have to pass this ball. There is no excuse. And it's also the thing that really, really pisses me off is this for Enrique's hat trick. Like,
Exactly.
it's your boy, man.
It's your
Pass him
boy.
the ball for the hat
Exactly.
trick that
It's
he
your boy.
deserves. And also just for the team and everything. Like, yeah. And I don't know if he was trying to draw Berkey and then pass it, but also that's just stupid. Like, just
I
give it
just
to
think,
Enrique. He'll bury it because
yeah, I
I don't
mean,
want to hate on the guy, but like you can't put the ball in the back of the net. Not in a mean way, but you literally cannot because you have not done it all season. I don't think he has a goal. Does he have a goal? Maybe one.
look,
But it's killing us. He gets these moments when he's fast and he's up the field, but then it's just wasted. And if you can't score, you gotta pass. And this was the worst one of them all.
look, I do want to say this. This is the, and again, I don't want to beat up the guy either, but I mean, it is completely factual. This is the reason why he never made it in the Brazilian league. And and and
Yeah.
and again,
He did this when he first came.
right? But when he first came, he would at least try to,
Yeah.
score, or I mean, he would take his chances. There's been times he's run the ball past two defenders and then pass it back. So I think it's his judgment is not right. But again, there's no excuse for this. Orlando
He,
could have been up 2 goals if it wasn't for his selfishness in this game, in my opinion.
he just takes
And
way too long to make a decision there.
yeah,
You
he
can't
went.
do it.
Yeah,
Either
I
you
mean,
go yourself and shoot from far out. Like if he's good enough, he should be able to shoot from there.
you imagine him doing this in a semifinal. Like, those are the moments that differentiate. I mean, look, I know this is a basketball analogy, but look, it's like when Kobe Bryant played with Andrew Bynum. Like, that was a trash Lakers team, and literally he had to pass the ball to these guys, whether they were what it didn't matter how he felt. It's about team here.
Yeah.
So here he botched it. And I mean, if this would have been like, if this would have been the Cincinnati game, it would have been tremendous. Now I do feel that Oscar is a little bit conservative when it comes to changing his attacking third too much. I think that maybe he feels that putting Ramiro on the left, it's gonna cut his goal, his striking ability. Maybe, I don't know. But the problem that we have here, which I feel it's tremendous, is Yutaro Sukada was gonna be that competition for him. He gets that tear, and literally there's no one that can give him proper competition. I felt like if Yutaro would have not tore his ACL, he would have been a starter. I think Oscar would have felt more comfortable benching him at that point. But at this time, I don't know. I feel like he doesn't feel confident in putting Ramiro on the left unless you know it's minute 85. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think he was used to last year having Ramiro there, and like the game plan is like Brecalo and Ramiro, the more kind of defensive left side, and you know, you've got Pasalic and Alex attacking up the right, but he's not really even doing the defensive stuff anymore. If you watch the second goal, he does a lot of this sort of like almost going through the motions this year. Like he's almost bust stop defending, especially on that second goal. If you watch, he like kind of goes out to close the man, but really you're Angulo, like you can move at a really fast pace. So you need to close the man down a lot faster, and then that ball wouldn't come in. And like in other years, he would do that. This year, I just don't see that sense of urgency and from him on the defense to justify, his lack of offensive, you know, return. And the fact that this year his offensive return has gone from, okay, he's a reasonable MLS guy, he'll get you some goals, he'll get you some assists, to he's getting nothing. Like he has I think one goal on the season. I have to double check his stats, but he's dropped off completely from last year. So it's very difficult, I think, to justify the continued presence of him in the lineup because, like I said, I don't see him doing the defensive work as much. And I think also before he was there to protect Rafa Santos, now we're starting Brecalo most of the time, or Kyle Smith in this game, who are defensively sound enough. They don't really need a guy constantly in front of them to be able to like help them out all the time. So I think you get away with playing Enrique there and start Muriel, or hey man, maybe your favorite Luis, maybe Mr. Haircut himself, Nico
No,
Rodriguez is going to get some more minutes. He got on the field again. Caraballo, like we got options at winger.
yeah,
I'm not saying to
I like
start. I'm just saying
Caraballo.
you
I like
could mix it
Caraballo.
up and like also Angulo's biggest asset is his pace, and that is even more effectual as a sub. So I'm all for benching him. I think it should have been happened a couple games ago. I think Oscar pulled him off this game, and I was kind of shocked that he did it that early. I mean, it was justified, but I was still surprised that he did it, which says, I think, a lot about how much we know Oscar likes him on the field.
Yeah, I just feel he needs. Sorry about that. He needs to spark up his ass. He needs
I feel
competition.
like he's has half asleep this
I
whole
just
year,
feel
man. I feel like he's in a like dream or something.
yeah. I just feel like he's confident and comfortable that because maybe his speed or I think he needs. I think for the next year we're gonna have to have a Pasalic on the left. You know what I mean? A guy who attacks defense is influential. Like we're gonna need to have our flanks boosted, and hopefully another maybe left back, center back that could play,
Yeah.
and that could do could do the center back role and also the left back role. You know, so but at the moment, I feel like he's just comfortable. Let's read some comments real quick.
Yeah.
And it says here, I mean, we have two strikers available right now. Would be crazy to sell, even if someone's willing to pay. I completely agree. Don't. It's they're selling. They're trying to sell smoke. They did it with the Peruvian guy. In the end, it was true what we said here. Peruvian media, they don't want to admit that they messed up. Whatever. David Albury, we missed out on 2 goals because of his selfishness. Landon says, I mean, seriously, though, he's been useless all season. I agree. Angulo needs to be benched. I was at work listening, so I didn't realize how bad until I watched the highlights. Yeah, my friend, I watched the highlights like 5 times. I just couldn't. I dropped
I,
my iPad.
everyone's still annoyed about this one
Bro,
thinking
I
about it, I
dropped my
think.
when this happened. I said, "Oh my god, this is gonna be 4-1." The end of the first half, cherry on the cake.
This moment, I've been playing a lot of Rematch, which is like a brand new like
Yeah,
game that came out. It's kind of like Rocket League, meets like soccer, and this reminded me exactly of what I see all the selfish players on there do, where they just want to do it all themselves and dribble right up to the keeper until he takes it out of their hands. I'm just like, what are we like? These are little. That's like a child's move. The professional
yeah.
player make the pass.
Landon, he needs to go now and be replaced before the MLS playoffs. I really highly doubt, Landon, that Oscar's gonna pull the plug on any on his boys this year. I think next year probably it's more legitimate. I do feel though that Oscar should be like, hey, if you're gonna be acting this way so selfishly, let me put Gustavo right now. Let me put somebody that be able to compete with you at least with pace. Maybe he won't finish, but we'll have, I don't know, we'll have Ojeda right there right behind so he can pass him the ball or something.
I mean, this season,
Landon says I read.
any of our other wingers have more of a chance of scoring than Angulo.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
So why is he still starting? Because look,
Because Oscar
the
loves him. I don't know.
the ball, the dribbling, and what he carries, he does on the 1v1 sometimes does a really good job. Like in this game, he
Yeah.
actually created some situations in which, you know, he was a little bit influential. Unfortunately, it's his decision making and his selfishness. It truly killed him. So it says, I want to see more of Thor Halson on the wing once Alex is back. Yeah, Dagger wants his spot back. You can tell. And that's what competition does to you. Thor wants to be part of this team no matter where Oscar places him. And every time he comes and plays, he's fighting for every ball if it's his last. We need those type of players.
You
Go ahead,
know,
Paul.
I was thinking about earlier. I was thinking about exactly this. How this moment with Angulo and just how annoying he's been all year and the lack of production. And I thought, like, who else could we play there? Like, we don't have Yataro. Like, Nico has been injured all the time. We just don't have those guys. And then I thought, who would be great to play left wing? And you could just start him right now. Well, once Alex is back, is Dagger Dan. Like, Dagger Dan will cut in on his right foot from the left wing. He'll do the defensive work from the left wing. He can do everything Angulo. He doesn't have the speed Angulo has, but he would do more, in
Yeah.
my opinion, as a left winger right now for us from a starting position than Angulo would. So I think when you're looking at other guys who aren't even in that position over him, it says everything about him. Should we move on to Cincy? I think our guest is here.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and introduce Jose. I think, what was his outlet, John? If you don't.
Jose is with Cincy Soccer Talk.
There you go. From Jose from Cincy Soccer Talk. He's here to preview all things FC Cincinnati. We're gonna put him in right there. What's
Good
up, Jose?
evening.
Nice to meet you. How are
Nice
you?
to meet all of you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you as well. Nice to meet you. Obviously, John, you probably met him already, and my name
Well,
is
it's the first
Luis.
time in person. We've
Yeah, we've
exchanged
never met
emails, but
Jose.
yes.
I was talking with one of Jose's counterparts, Justin, who I know, who
Justin,
is he's in our network. Luis, he does on Goals TV. These guys are on Goals TV as well. And Justin said Jose is available to come talk with you guys, so we appreciate that and thank you,
glad to
Jose.
be here. I appreciate the
Uh,
invitation.
I know a lot about Cincy Soccer Talk. You guys are a great outlet over there.
So thank you.
Very similar to us in a lot of ways and kind of what we do down here. So glad to have you on. Thank you.
Glad to be here.
So, to me, this particular game, it's a game of 6 points. I mean, this is what's going to,
Yes.
at least the way I feel, it's going to differentiate Orlando's 2024 to Orlando's 2025. It is a pivotal game, at least for Orlando, in front of their fans to win at all costs, to kind of take off a little bit, and Orlando's last season were also in this situation, very similar situation, with a huge run starting from the month of June onwards.
Mm-hmm.
A really bad first half of the year, but in this scenario, Facu Torres leaves. Marco Pasalic comes in, the rediscoverance in a way, yeah, because he played OCB. Alex Freeman coming into the team. Dagger Dan, Brecalo healthy. So, what are your expectations, Jose, from the get go out of this game coming up for you? As
Well, I have to tell you that we've, despite our position on the table, we've had a rocky season. The team has been inconsistent. On paper, we have a very strong roster, but the team has taken time to gel. Our big three, as we call it, with Kevin Denke, Evander, and Luca Orellano, they're very
Mhm.
good players. And in fact, between Evander and excuse me, and Denke, I believe now they're up to like 20 goals between both of them. But many of them have been just flashes of brilliance. You know, all of a sudden the ball is in the right location. They do something either physical, like Denke, who's a big player, or Evander with his flair and his skills, and we score. And of course, we'll take those scores and we'll take the points we get off of them. But we haven't been able to have a repeatable uh, trend or, if you will, tactics that works game after game. The brilliance of these players, coupled with others on the team, like Pablo Buca, Wobido as a defensive midfielder, and of course our back line, have helped. But if I had to pick one word right now for our team, it's inconsistency. Um, Last night we beat Montreal finally by more than one goal, by the way, because our wins have been by one goal. Even when we've been ahead 2-0, the teams have tied us, like Dallas. We've lost against teams like DC United at home. So inconsistency has been something that has been a rule for us so far in the season. Things haven't gelled quite. There's obviously a lot of new players on the team, and we've had some injuries too. Our backline right now is a bit decimated. Nick Haglund, who has been a pleasant surprise, went out injured in a Philadelphia game with two broken ribs, a punctured lung. So he's out. Miles Robinson is on the USMT in the Gold Cup. So our backline has been patched together. So while we're really happy with the second place, we know the underlying numbers are what's telling the story. I mean, our XG is 1.32 and the XG against is 1.51. Our goal differential is nothing to write home about. And we see this game in Orlando, by the way, as a very dangerous game for us. You guys are a very good team. I've been reading about you. I'll be honest, I didn't know much about Orlando until a few days ago. I started studying you. You have an impressive roster. Um, you're scoring a lot. And our defense, again, our backline is a little patched up. So to us, this is also a must win, but we're very nervous about it because we're playing in your home with a team that's scoring a lot and with a patched backline on our end. So we also see this as a must win, and also it's a test, by the way, because we have beaten teams, but most of them not so good teams. And even in the case of DC United, we couldn't beat them at home. So this is a big test. This is our first big test now out of home with you guys with Orlando.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with Jose and his analysis. I do think you guys have a very good squad. It's not always there from what I can
Mm-hmm.
see, but I think Evander is top quality. I mean, he's got 9 goals. Denke's got 11 goals. The two of them alone are major threats that can win a
Yes.
game on their own, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Also, your back line and your full back formations that you've got with the wing backs coming up in Yedlin and Oriano. You're a very good all-around dangerous attacking team. You are definitely, I would say, probably a top 6 team in the East, regardless of what happens
Mm-hmm.
this year.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
there were some patches there. I mean, the loss to Atlanta this year is that 4-2.
Oh,
That's got a
yes.
sting. The
Yes.
Dallas 3-3. You probably should have been beating them at home. There was
Oh,
that
yes.
that period you guys have had a bit of a wobble, I would say, right? But
Yes, we have.
that doesn't mean you're not a good team. And I think you might have some holes in your defense, and we'll usually try and find those. We have that kind of attack this year where we will
Yes,
find
you
some
do.
holes in your defense. So if those are there, we will exploit them. But I don't really think of you guys as a team that's particularly weak defensively. I mean, you can't, in my opinion, be where you are in the East and still not have a very good, consistent, strong back line that's going to be able to beat most of the teams around you.
Hmm.
Maybe you've just been lucky and played nice teams so far, but yeah, this is a clash of Titans in the East, Luis. It's going to
It
be really
is.
interesting. I think a lot of people are excited, not just the fans of our clubs, but I think across the league, people are looking at this game, being like, "Oh, this is a big Eastern matchup."
Yeah,
Yeah.
for us, like I said, we see this. At least I feel, the fans and some pundits here, we feel like this is the game that it's. I mean, we already killed that whole pink beast with the whole Messi and all that stuff.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
done. Our rivalry games, we've really, Atlanta has probably been the most chaotic, but at least when it comes to Florida, we beat the Rowdies, the USL. We've
Hmm.
beaten Inter Miami finally, and then in a
Yes.
really good fashion with a clean sheet. And so, I think this is the next level. I mean, a lot of fans in the beginning of the season lost Facu Torres. They felt a little bit distraught and it's like, who's Pasalic? Why Freeman? Is it too soon? And it was a lot of questions, but the team has outperformed themselves, I believe, even better. They're a better team than 2024 by far, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
this is to me because it's so tight in the East, and that's the disparity between East and West, as you probably know.
Oh, yes, very true.
It's so tight that a couple of losses in the East could put you seventh place. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because it's
Hmm.
that tight. So to me, and I ask you this question. Obviously, Orlando is coming with a run, right?
Hmm.
You guys lost four in a row, I believe, and then just won the last two.
Hmm.
Do you feel like this? Who has right now more the momentum for you?
To be honest, I think Orlando has the momentum. And I say that because, again, yes, our backline is pretty good, but we're missing two key players in Nick Hagland and Miles Robinson. Um, uh, our defensive midfielder, Obi, went out with an injury against Montreal. We're not sure what his status is. They're keeping it, very quiet right now. We don't have him. Our midfield is going to be suffering. And talk about finding weaknesses. Well, that's probably what you guys will go through. So I think right now Orlando has the momentum. Um, we're going to go through a really tough gauntlet of games here. We have Orlando, then I forget in what order, but then Chicago, Inter, Miami, Columbus, who that's a huge rivalry for us. So for us, July is going to be really, really tough month, and I have to tell you that I'm kind of the I wouldn't say pessimistic in that CST at Cincinnati Soccer Talk, but I always like to say, yes, but. And I keep telling CST guys, I'm not very confident going into July right now.
Yeah, you guys, you've got Chicago, Columbus, Inter Miami. So yeah, that's and us. That's a tough gauntlet of top Eastern
It is.
sides. Um, I do feel like you guys are going to be in the playoffs. You might drop a little bit. We'll
Oh yeah,
see.
yeah.
But yeah,
No
I'm a
question.
big fan of Evander. We really were hoping Evander might come
Yeah,
here when all the
Mm,
transfer stuff was
okay.
happening. We have Martino Ojeda, who is I think almost
Yes.
equivalent or just as good, if
Hmm.
not better, than Evander in some ways.
Oh yeah. Very
And
good.
so I think it's going to be really interesting to see the battle of those tens. Then there's sort of the nine battle. I also really like Denke. I
Hmm.
wanted to know your thoughts on why why Denke and I'm forgetting his name. I shouldn't. The old
Orellano.
Kai Kamara. Why do
Okay.
they
Yeah.
why do they play the two of them as kind of like a duo
Great
up
question.
top? Like what's the tactics behind what you guys are doing there?
What we have seen, and a few games does not a trend make, but what we're starting to see is that when Denke has somebody else, another forward up there, he's more effective. Because if somebody like Kamara starts attracting players, that frees up Denke a little bit more, or vice versa. So I think part of Pat Noonan's thinking is, okay, putting Denke up on himself hasn't really worked the way we'd like it. So we're going to pair him up with another forward. Now, in this case, it's Kamara. Usually, Yuya Kubo, not usually, sometimes Yuya Kubo will play that role. He's kind of our jack of all knives, our Swiss Army knife. I mean, the guy has played for almost every position except center back and goalie. But he has played at the front. So when you pair both of them, you free up Denki a little bit more. And we've seen that now. I mean, Denki's starting to score more because there's another pair over there, another pair of legs that is attracting attention. And Kamara, and I'm sorry, I think it's Kamara, what he does really well is hold up play, protect the ball, and attract players. And that frees up Denki a little bit more. And again, and vice versa. So I think that has been the rationale. It's only been a few games, couple, 3 games that they've done that, but we're starting to see results with that.
Now, Kevin Denke, 11 goals this season in the MLS, tying for third in the league.
Yes.
I honestly, I felt for Cincinnati fans because I felt he got shafted for the All-Star. I mean, were you surprised by a little bit of that snub?
Totally, complete. And I got to tell you, I mean, even though my wife doesn't follow soccer like I do, the nutcase here in the family,
Ridiculous.
she knows enough. When I said, I'm kind of surprised Denki didn't make it as well. She said, and she's followed FCC with me. Well, he hasn't done a lot. So what do you mean? He scored 11 goals. She said, he has? I said, oh, I didn't know that. Well, exactly. So a lot of us felt that he was, snubbed here, and we're kind of annoyed at that.
Did Evander make it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Evander
Evander and Miles
and Miles
Robinson.
Robinson.
I mean,
Yes.
we didn't get Ojeda or Pasalic in my opinion. Probably could have been candidates in that same kind of bracket. Like, there's a lot of. We had Alex Freeman in. We're super proud of him to be in there for this year, and he's doing really well for the national team. But you guys won't have to face him. I'm sure you're glad about that because he's been killing it. Speaking of guys who won't be there, a guy that we will be happy will not be there. A guy that has always killed it against us for you is Acosta, who's now gone. Last year, he was the only guy who scored goals against us for your team.
Oh,
yes.
I remember every time we played you, it was just like, oh, no, not Acosta. And he'd do something like incredible and score a goal. So we'll be glad that he's gone. But yes, Evander, almost a direct replacement, just as dangerous in so many ways. But there was something about Acosta that used to really
I mean, the difference being is that we call it Acosta magic. It's like, okay, get the ball to him and he'll make something happen, whether it's by himself, whether it's, doing one of those crazy passes as where did that come from, or scoring. So all roads went through Acosta last year and the previous year for that matter. This year it's a little different. I see Evander more as an orchestrator, as a guy that's going to distribute play. And yes, he will occasionally do the dribble and, maybe create a play, score. He's obviously scored 9 now. But he's certainly not Acosta in the sense that Acosta had a very unique, Argentinian street soccer kind of style. Okay, give him the ball and something's going to happen.
Yeah, he was a pain in the ass, to put it briefly for us. So we're glad he's gone. But off to Dallas for him. Excuse my French, Luis. But there's no other way to say it on that one. Luis, any other things you want to talk about matchup-wise?
So talking about a little bit of the back line real quick. Obviously, another player aside of Acosta that I always recall play really good against Orlando. A player that actually just had he was a loudmouth half the time was Matt Miazga. He got into people's skin. How's he doing? How's he's been performing the last few games? And is he able to stay consistent? Because obviously, playing in Europe, it's tough. Especially playing for a team like Chelsea. I'm sure it's tough. But you also have DeAndre Yedlin that kind of came a little in the shadows in a way. How's he been adapting in Cincinnati? And how's that kind of that defensive back line, especially with Miazga and Yedlin?
Well, I have to tell you that when Matt came here, and I believe it was in 2023 or 2022, I forget exactly, the back line improved tremendously. I mean, once
Yeah.
he appeared, I mean, it was just a night and day. And I met him once in that year. I said, "Well, with you, it's just been a completely different back line." Now, Matt is Matt. He's aggressive, he's physical, he's loudmouth. And sometimes when we see him talking to the others, oh please, just back off and just don't say anything else. We don't want
Yeah.
problems here. Another yellow card for God's sakes. His issue this year is that he's coming back from that nasty injury he had last year in a game against San Jose in June, I believe, of last year.
Yeah.
He slid to try to block a shot, which he did, and he slammed his knee into the goalpost,
Wow.
and he was out the rest of the year. I mean, he literally started playing 90 minutes about 2, 3 games ago. So he's been gradually coming back. He's not yet at 100%. I mean, it's clear from us that he's not. He doesn't have the speed yet. Sometimes he feels it looks a little hesitant, and I don't blame him. I mean, it was a really nasty injury, so he's probably being a little cautious. So a lot of us think that he's not yet 100% match fit, but he's getting there. So he has been an incredibly important part of that back line for us. DeAndre Yedlin, I mean, he's done a good job as a defender. I mean, he plays on the right. He's very good. He's got good positioning. He's got good speed. But the issue that we have with him is that when he gets in that final third, not much happens. Quite frankly,
Okay.
it's like his offensive skills are not his strength. It's more his defending. However, the other day against Montreal, as he started to go up the right wing, I told my wife, well, okay, there goes the play. I mean, nothing much going to happen there. And he did a cross that resulted in an Evander goal. so once in a while, he will get something done. But he is a very important part of that back line. Defending, again, he's very good. He's adapted well to Pat Noonan's system. It's still that final third where I think he still needs to either improve or maybe Pat goes to a different kind of a tactical lineup. So, but for now, I mean, it seems to be working well with him there.
Now, before I go to John, I wanted to ask you real quick because I thought, since I have the chance to talk to a Cincy fan and somebody that's been following the team for a while now, um, you guys have the coolest derby name I feel in soccer.
We
It's
love
called
it.
the Hell is Real
Hell is
Derby.
real. Yes.
So against Columbus,
Yes.
uh, can you tell us a little bit about that? Because
Okay.
obviously Columbus is a very really good team as well.
Oh
So
yes. Yeah. No question. Now, do you know where that name came from? By the way.
I'm an ignorant about that.
Okay,
I feel like
that's
someone
okay. That's okay. I
told me
mean, we only know it
once.
here because we know it. There's a sign on the road on I-71 that goes from
Oh,
Cincinnati to Columbus. It's a big sign that says "Hell is real," but it's a religious sign.
mm,
And
gotcha.
so when I saw, and I used to work, by the way, as a consultant in Columbus. I used to commute there on Sunday evenings and come back on Friday afternoons, and I always saw that sign. And I always kind of snickers. Okay, that's an interesting way of putting it. It's a huge sign, by the way. It is. You cannot miss it. So when people start calling it "Hell is real," I immediately equated it with that sign, and it's stuck. Hell is real. In fact, there's a bank here that's one of the sponsors of the stadium, one of the club sections, that is giving away "Hell is real" signs this week, so that people can put on our yards.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I mean, Columbus is a very good team, and
Yeah,
and they broke our hearts in
I'm
2023
sure. Yeah.
in that conference final. We were ahead 2-0, and they came back, tied, and then they beat us in overtime. They're a very good team.
That's
I
what
mean,
they'll
we
do
can
to you.
argue that our lineup was not 100% healthy. We were missing a couple of starters. Fine, but we had a 2-0 lead, and we couldn't hold it against them. So, yay, kudos to them.
John.
Yeah, I also want to say, just we've always have a lot of respect for the FC Cincinnati
Yeah.
organization and your fan base on a whole, and just the way that you guys have done it. We always think that the clubs that have that experience of being in the minor leagues and developing a fan base and having that grassroots organization, I think always translates to real fans in MLS, fans that care, fans that turn in, week out. Like
Yep.
you guys had your period at the beginning of the
Oh my
MLS
God.
being pretty bad. We've been through that too, and now we're
3 straight years.
we're trying to get that first win. So I think there's a lot of similarities between the clubs and the fan bases and the outlook and the way that we want to play the game and the way that we want to have academies and be a part of the community and all that stuff.
Yes.
So I just want to say respect from Orlando to
Well, thank
Cincy,
you.
and I'm
Thank you
sure
so
back.
much.
And hopefully it should be a great game
Yes.
on
I think it
Saturday.
will. Yes.
It is time for us to put our, I don't know what you call this, names on the line,
Predictions.
receipts on the line, predictions. This is something we do every week, Jose, as you can see.
Yeah.
The green times is when we got it bang on. So sometimes we get it exactly right, but not very often. Last game, we predicted a 2-0 versus St. Louis and a 3-0 versus St. Louis. It was a 4-2 win. So we got the W.
Got W.
Really,
Yep.
we really didn't want to concede 2 goals against St. Louis, so that was a little upsetting. But we got the win like we hoped on the road against the Western side, who are really not very good this year. Jose, as the guest, I will let you go first. What do you think?
I have
What's
to
your
say, I mean, and
prediction?
again, this is me, and I'm sure my
Yeah.
CST friends are going
And you
to
can be
like,
a
have
homer. That's
conniption.
totally fine. We appreciate
I
that.
think we're gonna lose. I think we're gonna lose 2-1.
All right, we got a truthful loss. We got a lot of people on here who just want to predict their team to win, even if they think they're going to lose. So I respect the honesty that you really feel like it's not going to be a win.
But again, I've been watching soccer a long time, guys. I mean, a long time. And while I don't have the tactical breakdown that some of our CST guys have, like Coach Go. I mean, the guy can break down a game to the minutiae. Other guys understand the analytics down to the nth degree, and I know a little bit of that. But I've been watching enough soccer in my lifetime to see some trends that say, our backline is not what it used to be, not yet anyway. I mean, Orlando's coming on strong, scoring a lot. If we don't have Wobidal as our defensive midfielder there, it could be a really long night in terms of just trying to maintain you guys from not overwhelming us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the home field advantage is nothing to take away,
Absolutely.
especially in the summer here. I don't know how you guys. I know it's hot there. It's hot everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
We just had a very hot game in St. Louis. But for us right now, the humidity plus the sort of 90 to 100-degree heat, a lot of teams, they get to that 70, 80th minute and they really start to burn out. So I think that'll be a factor too.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, your home crowd, the heat, and you're good. You're a very good team. So
we're not used to the
my
praise. We get uneasy when people tell us we're good. We like flying under the radar. That's how we like to do it at MLS. No one thinks we're good, and then we suddenly turn up at second in the East or something like that. Luis, you go ahead and give us your prediction.
Well, if everything goes well, I mean we're gonna be without Alex Freeman, but I feel Dagger Dan is gonna definitely get the start and probably do really good. We're probably gonna see the same back line. I feel like with the Vander, we're gonna concede at least one. I'm gonna do a 3-2 Orlando win. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a 3-2 Orlando win. Something's telling me about Robin Jansen. I don't know. I think his speed's been a little off. And I think since he does have the firepower with Denki, now I would hate if Kai Kamara scores on us, because man, this guy is like the pirate of the MLS. Man, he's been in he scored against us with every jersey in the MLS,
really?
dude.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. Kamara had a period where,
bro, like might as well, if Muriel leaves Orlando, we get some Kai Kamara time before he retires, man.
You gotta respect it, man. He's really chasing that all-time goal scorer. He's a ways off, and I don't think he's gonna get there, but he's trying. You gotta respect the hustle of Kai Kamara. All right, you go 3-2. I like that, Luis. I think that's. I feel like Cincy are gonna get one. Our backline is good, but you guys, Denke can score from nothing. Evander can score from nothing. You have that ability in you, so I'm gonna go 3-1 for us. I think they'll get one. Yeah. I'm feeling good. I feel like you're underselling Cincy a little bit, Jose. I feel like you're too negative for me on your team here. You guys are in second. I want a little bit more
I know, but
positivity.
again,
But I do think what you're saying is true, and I do think Cincy maybe have the pieces but aren't performing as well as they
correct.
could be. And MLS really, unless you're trying to win Supporter Shield, it's just all about being good come the playoffs,
Sure.
and being in the playoffs, and hopefully being a top four team. I think you guys will potentially still be a top four team with this squad.
Yeah.
I would see
Yep.
that's sort of like your mid level for me. Your top end, you could come top of the league. You could win the Supporter Shield if you have a
Well,
great second half
and
of the
like I
year.
said, I don't have, again, the tactical breakdown that others have at
Mm,
CST, but when we beat Miami at Cincy 6-1, everybody was high fiving themselves and say, "Yeah, guys, but you know what? Miami didn't have Messi, Suarez, Alba. They had like four starters that were not there. Busquets got expelled." And we just clobbered this. However, said that one goal that Miami scored against, that this is what I saw happen,
yeah,
and this could come back to haunt us. And CST actually agreed with me, but the fan base and our Facebook page kind of clobbered me. Yeah, you're negative. You don't know what you're talking about. You never watch the sports. It's okay, whatever. And that's exactly what happened to us after that game. I mean, teams started killing us with, set plays and just certain things that were happening on the right wing, which wasn't strong. And it's like, well, okay, again, I'm not a tactical guru, but
mm,
I've seen enough soccer to see some trends. It's like, oh, this is what's worrying me right now about this team.
yeah. I feel like the five back is in your advantage in some ways because you have that three defenders always home
Mm-hmm.
gives you a little bit more you can make more errors and have more coverage as opposed to just paying a four back. When our defensive is off, I feel like we have massive holes in our back line at times.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Okay.
you can cover that a bit more with your defense and your formation. So we'll see. We'll
Yep.
see how this game goes, but it's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. Yes,
Like I said, I think the less will be watching this one.
I believe so.
Yeah, obviously, Pat Noonan is also going to be facing Orlando, and he loves to face Orlando City.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we faced each other, he said that for Pat Noonan facing Orlando City in a match, um, his team became a team again. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
hopefully,
Right now, we're not a team yet, guys. I mean, again, on paper, very good roster. We're not yet playing as a team.
yeah. So let's,
Against Montreal, second half, most of the second half, we finally started to look like a team. Except the last 5-10 minutes, we kind of let down a little bit because we were ahead 3-0, and then the first goal comes, and then they almost scored a second time. It's like, guys, come on.
Yeah, I mean you can't let Montreal. I mean it was the same with us St. Louis. We're like, wait, come on, guys, we can't be losing to St. Louis.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining
Thank
us,
you.
Jose. Can I
Really appreciate
get you
it.
to promote Cincy Soccer Talk? Let people know
Thank
if they
you.
want to hear more about you guys, where they can do that.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the web, Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and of course, we're on the socials, Facebook, Blue Sky, X. We do a podcast like you every Monday at night after games. Uh, we'll probably have another podcast tonight. Actually, I think they're going to have one because of yesterday's game. So yeah, I mean, look us up, and obviously, we'll promote you guys as well because I've heard really good things about you.
Well, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate
Thank
you. We're
you.
gonna go ahead and talk all about some OCB. So,
All righty. Okay. Well,
two
great
team
meeting you
time
in
for us.
person. Good luck.
Thank you for being here.
Let's hope for a good game. Good
You
night,
thank you,
sir.
too. Best
Jose.
of luck, Jose.
Have a
You
good
too.
day. All right, we appreciate Jose for joining in, for sure. Let's read some comments real quick. F says, perfect measuring stick in the East. If we get 3 points against Cincy without Alex Freeman, I'm ready to get my hopes up. I agree with you. Would be cool if we beat all of the top spending clubs in the season. This season, already got Atlanta and Miami down. Hope you mean same backline with Schlegel. Need him starting. Yeah, that's what I meant. Thank you so much for catching that. Salty H2O. Angulo's selfishness cost us a hat trick for Enrique. I totally agree with you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Talking about the top spending clubs, I think I saw something online about Orlando's still one of the least spending clubs in the league for the team that they have and the position that we are in right now. This is, you may want to criticize the front office because the churros may come in a little cold, or or there's not, a lot of fan things going on, or they're not giving you, what's it called, what they were saying, like they wanted a oh yeah, the scarf's too thin. The scarf's too thin. How are they gonna give me this shitty scarf, man? But I mean, you're talking about, if you go to other stadiums in the nation, the food's super expensive. I saw a post on Facebook about the food in St. Louis, like more expensive than Disney. It's like $30 for chicken nuggets and a soda. So like, so hey, it's a give and take, but I truly feel like you know Orlando's gonna have to win this game no matter what. So
Talking about that, Luis, you reminded me. You're bringing up the player. The salaries were released
yep.
for MLS player by the MLSPA. That came out earlier in the week, and there was a lot of references. I can't remember who it was, but shout out to somebody on X who posted that like Messi makes more than like 9 teams in MLS or
It's
something.
ridiculous, man.
Like, I mean, our total payout is 16 million a year. Inter Miami's 46 million. So I mean, they're paying 30 million more out to their players than us. Just gives you an idea. Nashville on 21 million. I'm really shocked. Nashville are a big team. Like they're spending the money. They're up there in the league. What's going on? I don't like to think about that, but they're doing something. Toronto 34 million. That's crazy. That Bernardeschi and Insigne money is killing them. Just interesting stats here. I mean, we're not that big of spending. We're fairly average with 16 million, and we're performing,
But we've never been.
No, but we've gone up significantly. We
Yeah.
have since the Wills came
Yeah,
in.
of course.
They have spent more, but like we've said before, it's not about unless you're Montreal and don't spend anything. It's not about spending the most money. It's about what you do with it. I mean, Atlanta this year, a perfect example of that.
Look
Atlanta
at that.
27
Look at
million
that.
in the wage budget, and then what,
Trash.
60 million on the squad or something, 50, 60 million on the squad. So yeah, I'd rather have Enrique than Latte Lath all day. Like at this point, let's be honest. Enrique costs you no money. He costs a tenth of what Latte
Also,
Lath costs.
it's, and again, I don't want to plug. It's the scouting team too. I mean, you have to give it. Look at Cincinnati with 23 million. Look what the type of team they're giving you. Look at the core of the young guys that they have too in the back line. Orlando City. Look all the stuff they're doing. So they're redirecting the cash not just into getting players that are gonna not only fit the system for Oscar, but also they're thinking about, hey, more for the youth teams. Let's put more money on there too, because that's going to be eventually, no disrespect, I feel Alex Freeman is going to be a massive, when he decides to go, he's going to go to a top club if he keeps in this level, and that's when the moolah is going to come. Money bags are going to pour in right there, and that is all Orlando City Academy stuff. So if you keep injecting funds into the academy, you have to see it as a long-term investment, in my opinion. I think that's what Orlando is also doing, and by doing so, spending right. So I mean, of course, I'm fed up with the whole Messi thing. I used to be a huge, oh, Messi, the best player in the world. His attitude to me of how I just don't like his attitude anymore, man. It kind of, he just doesn't look like he's enjoying himself, and he's just doing it, I feel like, for the money, and I just, you know, uh, I'm not switching teams. I'm not Team Ronaldo either. I'm not like I show speed, but like I just feel like it's it wouldn't be smart, for example, for Orlando to go get Ronaldo, even though some people will like that. it just wouldn't be smart. It
Yeah,
just does.
that's not who we are, and I think this year it shows. That you can perform well with spending less money on guys that want to work hard and have a good work ethic, and they're still getting paid. Enough. But the fact that we have Paslic and Ojeda and Muriel and all these talented guys, and we're not spending nearly as much as some of the other squads around us who are spending way like Chicago on 22 million, right? Like it shows that we've not only gone out and found guys that we don't have to spend a lot of money on the transfer fee, but also we found guys that we're not paying crazy amount of money to, and having to tie up all resources on them. So great job by the squad, and just really interesting. Everybody has not checked out, and they're interested to see how much all the players make it. It's public information. You can go look at all that. So, all right, Luis. Time for
Yeah.
some sad news. Last night there was also another game, a home game for OCB, where they lost to Toronto 2-1. A great goal from the center back, Abdelawi, but that's really kind of the only real positive in this game. It was fairly tightly contested, and it really felt like a game that OCB should have won, and that was kind of what was frustrating. And I think to let a team that if you look at the table, are just above them. Well, then now they're just above them, but we're in the same area as the table as them, to come in and get those points in your house. It's got to hurt. It's 2 losses in a row for OCB, one away at Carolina Core, and now a 2-1 home loss to a similar side that's affected the table. You don't like to see it. It wasn't a great game. I think they're probably very frustrated, but like we said before, this is just part of the development system, right, Luis? You gotta learn from losses, and I think they're going to be learning from this one.
Oh, for sure. No, I totally agree. I think there's been a lack of consistency by OCB. You know, again, these are young cats. I mean, still, I mean, again, I do want to say with the performances of John Solis, he's been having not only defensively but also gearing himself into the attack. I mean, he's becoming a strong voice for OCB.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
I, w- I would love to see him in the first team. If Gervais may not feel up to it, I think he'll be up to the test to be next.
there is a lot of change around in like who plays, and there's constantly guys going off to play with the
Yeah.
U19s or the U18s or going for the first team or whatever. So I do understand that, but I think also it does, regardless of who's out there. We want to see consistently good performances from OCB, and a lot of these guys they have these opportunities when other players are not here, and they need to step up and impress. So
Yeah,
it's
like
good
Loyola,
to
for
have,
example.
yeah, it's good to have that rotation. And sometimes we've seen when Loyola steps in, or other guys like Clappy are getting a start here, Judelson, for example, they perform really well. And just in this game, it was not a good performance. I'll just say that. And I feel like at times Toronto too looked a lot better than us, and they're really not that much better than us. So I think they just need to figure it out, and hopefully they'll be able to go again.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I think Loyola, players like Loyola, Reed Brown, like those players needs to step up and show, because that's what's gonna make you go into the first team. I mean, with all the respect with Loyola, but if he's being heavily regarded in Chile, but he's not really having any first team minutes. I mean, he's not having any first team minutes, and why he's not having first team minutes? Because he's not performing well. I mean, Caraballo earned first team minutes because he killed it with OCB. Same with Justin Ellis, same with Shaq
Yeah.
and Thomas Williams. So I mean, they gotta really, like, if they want to really go and showcase their talent in the big leagues, like, you gotta kill it in OCB. You gotta
Yeah.
take that bull by the horns.
And that Toronto 2 game at home was a very winnable game. I
Yeah.
feel like, the Carolina Core away, like it's okay,
Yeah.
away game, whatever. But that was a very winnable game. And especially now, because they have to go away next game. and play Philly Union 2, whose academy is one of the best in the country, who's producing guys like Quinn Sullivan. So it's not going to be an easy game against third in the league coming up next for OCB. Hopefully, they can get an away win and turn it around. But yeah, they're on the back of 2 losses with a tough opponent up next. So not looking like an easy time right now for OCB.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All
Alex
righty.
Freeman.
Yeah, we got some exciting news to end on. If you have not seen Mr. USA right back, Alex Freeman has also been included in the All-Star team. We talked about it a little bit earlier, briefly mentioned that fact that he got voted in as a great video that you can go and see. Luis, your thoughts on Alex?
Well, obviously, super proud of Alex Freeman. He's a phenomenal kid, level-headed. He's been killing it this season. Well deserved. Obviously, he's been voted in, so he's well liked. And I feel like he's gonna explode. I think he's gonna be one of those players that every chance he's getting, he's trying to grab the brass ring. He's trying to do something important for it and to further in his career. So I'm super proud of him. I think he is the example of all the money injected into the academy and the trust the process mentality that not only but the front office with Ricardo Moreira and Luis Musi and even Oscar Pereja have installed in this team. So super proud of him. I think his family and him are going to be over the moon. I know that the club put a video on Instagram that was pretty cool about him getting the call. So good. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. What I'm not happy about is I don't know. I mean, with all due respect, where's Pedro Galese? Like,
I think that
bro, that's insane,
the
man.
goalkeeper is Dane St. Clair. I think is the one that I would have probably included in that 3, and maybe Takaoka because he's Vancouver having a good year. Brad Stuber for Austin is literally just because it's in Austin. That's such a they're doing
Stupid.
that throughout. Every time they put it in a host city, they do this because it's the coach of the team and he gets to put in some guys from his club regardless. I
So
think that's frustrating.
Orlando couldn't vote in Pedro Galese. You're telling me the Minnesotans just
We
stick one up to Orlando City
the
fans?
we got voted. We only managed to get Alex in there. I think, especially when you look at the midfielders and the forwards, yeah, I mean, they've got commissioners pick Chucky Lozano. Let's be honest, that's just for tickets. Chucky has not been good at all this year. He's played a bit and been okay, but it's not oh my god, he's killing it in the league.
Yeah, Ty Baribo, I'm happy
Anders
for.
Dreyer deserves to be there, 100%.
Yeah, Ty
Ty
Baribo.
Baribo, Patrick Agermang, again, commissioner's pick. He's been good for the national team. I mean, that's a whole debate in itself. But he's not been good for Charlotte. So why is he in the MLS All-Star team? I'm sorry, he's not scored nearly enough goals. Brandon Vasquez, again, same thing. Austin, he's the coach, should not be in there at all, in my opinion. Really, you got guys it's DeCosta, Vanda. A lot of these are expected. There's a few others I would debate, but I would like to send Pasalic or Ojeda in there. I think arguably Pasalic is better than a lot of these guys.
Like Diego Rossi.
And more exciting to watch in some ways.
Diego Rossi, you're telling me? I don't know. I just feel like
yeah,
Brandon Vasquez. I don't know.
I mean, this is the first guy we've had in years. I think this is 2023, right? I can't remember who the last guy we got into the All-Star team was, but it's the first defender that's ever been in from our club. I think it gives you an idea. Jansen's never made it in, and all the good performances and seasons he's had. Pedro has ever been in the All-Star? I don't know. I can't remember.
I think he's been to one. I believe. Hold on, let me double check.
Maybe, yeah.
Look, I think because are we playing the Liga MX, people?
Yeah, it's the League MX. That's why
Yeah.
they. Yeah, I mean,
So I think
it's
that's,
in Austin. They
I
put
think it's
guys like Chucky
time.
in for
Yeah.
that.
So Pedro Galicia and Nani were in the 2021 MLS All Star.
Was
So
that the last time? 2021.
yeah, 2021. That's right. Luis Nani and Pedro Galicia were in the MLS All Star. Yeah. So um, look, I do want to say this. It's time to me because the West. To be honest with you, the West sucks. Okay, compared to the East, that is the bottom line. It's time to do like the NBA, East versus West. I think that will be more attractive than
Yeah,
bringing the El Chucky, El Puki, Los Bukis. Honestly, I think it'll be, and I know that they want to cater with the whole United thing, and they want to cater to the West.
mm,
Bro, the soccer is in the East. Like when I look, and people in South America ask me, LAFC, look at LAFC. Oh, look at, they suck. Look in the Club World Cup. I'm like, I guarantee you, if you would have put their Cincy, you would have put their Philly, it would have been a different story. I mean, at least these teams would have not, done like Seattle or like LAFC. They would have fought till the death.
yeah.
They would have shown a little bit more. But I don't know. I just feel like bringing this whole Liga MX, or if not, bring a top club from Europe. You know,
Yeah, I'm always with you, man. I think like East versus West would be way
East versus
better because
West.
you would see more of the league's best players as
Yeah,
well because you'd have a four from you'd have a whole 11 from both sides. So yeah, I mean it's in Austin. I think that's a great stadium and a great
yeah,
location.
beautiful stadium. Yeah,
Sucky team this year to host. Like they're having guys in there who really should not be in there. The other thing that's kind of ugly about this year, Luis, is I don't know if anybody has $150 for this
what?
nonsense that is on the screen right now.
Excuse me, what the hell
This
is
is
that? Is that for the
the
referees?
this is the All-Star Game authentic
Get out
jersey
of here!
that basically looks like Adidas spent all of 5 minutes and went, let's do one side
I could
blue
have done
logo
that.
and shoulder, one side green logo and shoulder on a
That's
white
this. That's
Adidas
bad.
blank, slap a cactus in the corner and call it a day for $150. Kind of takes the piss, and I think it's kind of ridiculous. So, this is laughably bad all-star jersey. Like I've seen some pretty bad all-star jerseys, but this one is up there.
This is horrible. It's a horrible jersey. I mean, what are the shorts going to be? Have green and have blue. What are the shorts going to be? Or are they going to be all white? Because if
I
it's all
mean,
white, might as well just put the Real Madrid crest there. And
when we hosted, it was all like it was like purple, because I have it. And it had like the giant Target logo because it was like
uh
sponsored
huh.
by Target back then. So this is like not really. I mean, it's kind of Austin's colors, only the green and the blue. But like, I just
It just
uh,
doesn't go well, in my opinion.
I think it's pretty bad. And whatever this is on the back here looks like a bat.
What
Oh,
is
it's
that,
because the
Batman?
Austin. It's because the bats come out from the bridge in Austin. They're like, there's like a thing at night you can go and watch the bats fly. So I guess what that is for.
Should put
But
Joe. You should put Joe Rogan's face there.
I'm
You live in Austin,
I'm not buying. This is a white jersey
bro.
for
I'm not
150
buying that.
bucks that
Bro.
literally just has the MLS logo on, a logo that nobody wants
I'll buy it
to
when
have on their chest. Let's
Fanatics.
be
I'll
honest.
buy it when Fanatics sells it for like $10.
That's wild to me. But yeah. So congratulations to Alex. Stock down massively to the Adidas design
110%.
team for whatever that is.
Hey, isn't it time you feel to get away like this whole, like have the clubs have their own deals? This whole Adidas thing, it's annoying, dude. Like,
Yeah, man. It's like the same with the the TV rights. It's just
yeah,
like the league has not got a good deal on the TV rights, and they've just stuck with the Adidas and kind of just
or
kept
go
it
to
there. But
Nike.
really, we need to shop it around and open it up and all that stuff. It's the issues of becoming a single entity. They do business as one massive league, not as individual clubs.
I saw a tweet that Alex is the first All Star since Pedro and Nani in 2021. Yep, you're completely right, my friend. Yeah, it's gonna be. It's it's definitely good for Alex, and I'm happy for him of everything that's happening to him. He's a good kid. He's level headed. He takes care of himself. You know, he's definitely he works. He wants to be in the elite level, and to be
Yeah.
in the elite level, you have to understand this is a short career. Soccer is a short career. Imagine him busting his butt since a kid. You know, preparing his body and then shining, shining, shining. He knows this is a long career. He goes to a top club, shines there, wins cups. You know, and then at 35, 30, 38, it's over. You're 38 in perfect shape, perfect health. These dudes, you know what I mean? Like, you could go and if you want to eat like 30 in and outs, you want to eat all the ice cream you want, you want to go just lay down all day, sleep all day, you'll be a millionaire. You have a trophy chest full of cups, but all you've worked for when you retire is going to pay off 10 times. And I think that's really the life, man. It's a short career, and kids now, I'm glad that young cats from the academy are able to see the Taifis, the Freemans, how Justin Ellis has come on the up and up. All these players that are coming out of the academy that are truly the Colin Guskies. So, the sky's the limit for these guys. So super happy and super proud for that.
Yes, indeed. Alex will be playing Costa Rica, probably starting, I imagine, again on Sunday at 7 o'clock. So if you want to check out U.S. national team in the Gold Cup, don't miss Sunday at 7 o'clock. Right now, as we talk, Luis, two Pride players are on the bench for the USA women's team, Emily Sams and Carrie Abello, on the bench as they play USA at the moment. So I tweeted about this earlier today. It's great. I don't know, trying to think about when the last time this happened, but having both Pride and City with players representing their national team at the moment in the squads currently is pretty cool, and I don't think it's happened. I want to say since like the 2016 era for U.S. and Orlando
Yeah.
City. So it's an awesome time to be a fan of both the men's and the women's team. I want to thank everybody who listened today, everybody who was here live, dropping comments. Just want to thank Jose and Cincy Talker Talk for coming out and giving us their insights. Everybody who's in the Orlando area, come on out to this game on Saturday. It is a huge game for us. We need all of you there in the stadium supporting the boys, being that 12th man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna miss this upcoming game. It's a huge game.
Sad to miss you, buddy.
I have a family situation, a get together that I can't postpone. But I'll be on my phone, on my iPad. I'll probably be in the post presser. You'll have all the footage, so stay tuned. We are Loud and Proud Orlando. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're also on X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as Loud and Proud Orlando at LP_podcast. Also, want to give some Club World Cup info real quick. Al Hilal right now is beating Pachuca 1-0, 42 minutes. RB Salzburg is losing 1-0 against Real Madrid. So we'll see how that turns out. But anyways, guys, this is a massive game. Vamos Orlando forever, man. It's gonna be great. Hopefully a W and then soaring high, man, soaring high. So, anyways, guys, thank you for your support and vamos Orlando. Take care, guys.
Vamos,
Take
Orlando.
care. Have a good one.